The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete that. He's crazy.
As I said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Looking down from the blimp high above the St. Lawrence River and Notre Dame Island, on which sits Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the venue for this afternoon's Canadian Tire Grand Prix, presented by Dewar's Candy. It's round 5 of 18 on the inaugural Lionheart Retro Series calendar, and all the nostalgic Lotus 79 action from pace lap to victory donuts can be seen live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Tonight's broadcast is made possible thanks to the good folks at Dewar's Candy. Hey, if you're tired of impersonal gift cards and you're looking for a truly unique gift idea that will leave a lasting impression, get your trophy room ready because Dewar's Gourmet Taffy Chews will have you looking like a champ. Dewar's chewy peanut butter filled taffy has been enjoyed by generations of family dating back to 1909 and are now shipped all over the world. Get yours today at dewarscandy.com. Bonjour everyone and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host Bill Subzon. Helping me call the action is Samuel Ryman. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director Joe Peak. And at his disposal are the camera locations provided by Dougie Beard. Sam, Ryan Otis picked up the only other road course trophy this season from Watkins Glen, besting Jake Wright. For round 5, the Lionheart Retro Series visits its second road course, the tight confines of Montreal.
Yes, Soup, you call them road courses both, but that's where the similarities end. The Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is a completely different track, located in Montreal, Quebec, on the man-made island of Notre in the St. Lawrence River. This area was originally used as a lawn rowing and canoeing basin for the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, and then they worked out, hey, you know what would be more exciting? Let's put a racetrack here on this island, and they did that in 1978. The circuit has hosted the Canadian Grand Prix 37 times since then, since it opened, and the first race, of course, was won by the legendary French-Canadian Gilles Villeneuve that this track is now named after. This circuit is 2.7 miles long with 13 turns around it, and the best way to really understand this place is to take a lap on board yourself with our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Montreal. down into the Senna S, it seems like a good passing spot on paper, but the switch back into the hairpin can make it very tricky to overtake on either side. Coming out of the turn, be careful getting to the throttle since the slow corners won't give you the downforce you need to gun it. Down into turns 3 and 4, watch out for the wall on the exit. It sits right at the edge of the pavement where it can grab the greedy. Turn 5 needs to be on the throttle as much as you can, which will be tough if you're understeering. Hold tight to the right on the approach to 6 and throw out the anchors. Hugging the apex in the first half of the chicane will be important because once again, you're forced to tiptoe a little bit as you feed onto the power. A few extra feet of acceleration will be important down this gently curving backstretch. Once you spot the bridge, let it drift to the left, line up your braking, and try to get it slowed up for turns 8 and 9. Stay off the big sausage curbs here to avoid upsetting the car because sliding around can easily chuck you into the wall on the right. Now we approach the only braking zone that isn't into a chicane. The casino hairpin offers a great chance to overtake, but it'll be very easy to get into the corner too deep. Expect some over-under moves to take place here. Wily drivers will make sure they can get on the gas earlier than their competitors to give them the most speed possible down the longest straight of the track. There's likely to be some draft battles here with the big hole this car punches in the air. The most difficult part will be spotting your brake marker and hitting it accurately. Coming into the last chicane, as always, avoid the wall of champions. Pulling a tank slapper into there is going to end your day in a hurry. But hopefully you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Montreal.
I'm Jed Yaman on the wheel, Joe Peak on the mic, taking us around the tight confines of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Now let's take a lap around the point standings. With 4 races in the book, a second place finish at Pocono jumps Ryan Otis 5 spots to the top of the chart, 9 points ahead of No Name Racing's Jake Wright. Otis's lead is even more impressive considering the Streamline Motorsports driver has a no-show blemishing his record. Bob Mikas of Controlled Chaos Racing owns a win at Michigan and sits in third, 20 markers out of the lead. Adrenaline Motorsports finds its top driver, Tony Schowen, up 4 spots into fourth. A season-opening win at Homestead helps AGR's Jason Galvin hold on just inside the top 5. Let's look at the team championships now. Adrenaline Motorsports won the day at Pocono. Tony Schowen, Andrew Kinsella, and Chris Stouffer combined for 221 points, enough to pull that team within 3 points of the lead. That position is held by No Name Racing. 186 points was third best to Pocono. Big Joe Hasser, Jake Wright, and Pierre Nightingale. And P. Nightingale, and those are the names for No Name Racing, excuse me there. Travis Jagerliner, Bradley Walters, and Jason Galvin have AGR in third. 176 points was fourth best the last round. Dragonfly Racing burned bright last time out with 214 points, second best for the day thanks to Brian Greenlee, Robert Bluen, and Dustin Wardlow. Dragonfly sits in fourth. And welcome to the Overlay Streamline Racing, up 2 spots, powered by Ryan Otis and James Paulson. Okay, Sam, we've talked about the track, gone over the driver and team championships. Let's take a second to talk about the series and race details.
Yeah, well, the series is a very unique one. That's what we love so much about it. It's sanctioned by Lionheart Racing, and this is the inaugural Lionheart Retro Series. As you mentioned, we have 11 oval courses and 7 road courses. However, because we have 3 Triple Crown oval courses, that really counts for 14 sets of points coming from the oval side. So really, it's 2/3 oval throughout the season. This is round 5 of 18. They're all racing the Lotus 79, the revolutionary Formula 1 car from the 1978 season that Mario Andretti won his championship in. Custom fixed setup. This setup was created a couple of weeks ago and the drivers loved it as soon as it rolled off the track, so they pretty much kept it identical since then. All the drivers getting ready to take it out today for 37 laps. We got 42 drivers in the series, however I think we have just 28 drivers here tonight, at least as of right now, and there are some prizes handed out at the end of the season. But first, you've got to tackle this circuit and its weather conditions. Weather conditions quite hot for Canada. The track is actually 101 degrees Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 78 degrees in the sky. So that means these cars do slide around a bit. But like I say, Bill, I've taken this car out myself a bit over the last couple of weeks, and it's handling quite well. Although, as always with the Lotus 79, it does like to squirm a little bit under power out of these slow turns.
Let's go ahead and talk about the actual event details here that we have going on today.
Yeah, well, as we mentioned, that's 37 laps. The significance says it's 100 miles. Fuel 28%, that's about 8 gallons. And what that means is these cars will have to make one stop. Now, they can get about 20 laps on the tank of fuel, but of course there's the 37 lap race, so that means we've got a very small fuel window there. Not a whole lot of room for strategy. Everyone will pit between the laps of 17 and lap 20. There is an incident cap there, you see. If you go over 17 incident points, you do get taken out of a session, and you get docked 5 championship points, and if you go over 12 incident points, you get docked 3 points. However, the fact is, we're racing open wheel cars, so if you get 12 incident points, your car's pretty much totaled anyway, because no fast repairs in this series. Cautions, there's a live steward. If a track gets blocked, they will throw a caution and bunch the field up. Hopefully that won't happen though. Restarts will be single file, the start will be double file. They are all rolling starts, and the points is a standard points race. No double points here tonight.
And Adam and Tanner couldn't be here in the booth, so I'm filling in, and also we had to go ahead and take a driver that was scheduled to race in this race and bring him up into the booth. And of course, Lionheart's loss is GSRC's gain, as we have Sam with us here today. Sam, you put in a lot of time. You were really looking forward to getting out there and mixing it up with these guys.
Yeah, well, I came in today, Bill, thinking I was quite competitive out here. I was running along the likes of Dustin Wardlaw and Travis Dregeliner, who are currently 3rd and 4th on the qualifying charts. They were a bit higher up, but we've had a lot of drivers, as they normally do, just coming on race day and smoking the competition. Most notably, the drivers, as you mentioned, that finished 1 and 2 at Watkins Glen, Ryan Otis and Drake Wright. And I have a feeling the likes of Travis Dregeliner, Dustin Wardlaw, and others are going to have difficulty keeping up with the number 95 of Ryan Otis and the number 1 car of Drake Wright, who are provisionally on our front row as we work the middle of the qualifying session here.
Yeah, well, just a little details on Jake Wright. He is actually this series has raced here once before in the Lotus 79s, and Jake Wright picked up a win there previously. He also has a win last season when he raced at this venue in the Dallara DW12, so Jake very proficient here at this layout. Another driver with some experience is Pierre Nightingale. He's the only one who has raced here before in this combination of car and track. Sam, you talked about this car getting a little squirrely out under power. Where do you think some of the problems might be with these close confines here?
Well, I think Pierre Daigle just found one of them on screen right there. I think it was going through the turns 1 and 2 complex in his number 14 machine, and boy, did he have a barrel roll. I mean, the start's going to be very frantic into turns 1 and 2 here, Bill, but there's one problem right there. That's the chicane leading down to the hairpin. We just saw a car struggling through that section of the course. That's where Ed Tutwiler, rather. That's where I had been having difficulties as well during the laps that I turned. And the best way I found to get through it is to really attack the right hand on the entry of that chicane, and then the wall doesn't catch up with you as badly on the exit on the left hand on the exit of the chicane. And also, of course, this last chicane here with the wall of champions on corner exit, that always plays a bit of havoc as well. Bill, I think we need to take a look at one more car before we get started here. We mentioned him a little bit ago, and that's Dustin Wardlaw in that number 29 car. He's got a nice little onboard camera for us tonight.
Absolutely. He is in the Dewars Candy onboard camera. Of course, Dewars Candy sponsoring this race. With Easter and Mother's Day coming up, you know, there's an opportunity to go visit Dewars Candy, see what you can do for that. You know, and don't forget Dad. Dad's got a sweet tooth as well, so give those guys a look. Boy, you can really see the tight confines. Now, I know this is really not a street course, Sam, but to me it feels a lot like with these walls, these concrete canyons so close. And boy, it sure does feel like a street course.
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. Now, what's surprising here about Dustin is to see him this far back on the grid, 6th. He is a driver who has been up front all week long. Even though he was struggling a bit at the start of the week, he said he felt the setup felt a little bit different to him after the new build, even though I don't think a Lotus 79 underwent a lot of changes under the new build. But that's because Dustin is right in the middle of a really tight battle in qualifying here. The drivers have had the 10-minute qualifying session. They're coming to the closing minutes of it now. They've all had the track to themselves, and the best of 4 laps is what they will be lined up on the grid on. Dustin Wardlaw has a 129.719, 6th on the grid. The driver 4th on the grid, Scott Bolster, is only 3 thousandths of a second faster than him.
Now, one thing that I'm not going to get fooled on, and I say this every time I do a race here at Montreal, is pit entrance, because it's right down that back straightaway. We're heading towards the start-finish line, and they can fool me. If you're in a side-by-side battle back there, I always get fooled that somebody has missed the braking zone, but actually pit entrance, you can enter it darn fast, and always catches me by surprise. That's right before the Wall of Champions there, 13 to 14 combination.
Yeah, we'll ride on board with this car going down the back straight right here if we can, Mr. Director. This is David Altman, who's currently 11th on the grid, pretty much at the halfway point. And you'll see what Bill's talking about. Now, we don't know if David's going to stay out or come in here, but the pit entrance is right straight pretty much. And here he goes. He comes into the pits, yeah. And really, I don't know where David started braking here, but I was finding in practice, you can start braking as late as a white line that basically outlines the outside of the circuit. These cars have really, really good brakes, and it is amazing how late you can brake coming into the pits. I don't know how much these drivers have been experimenting with that. I wouldn't be surprised if some drivers really are able to leapfrog their competitors during a round of stops just by being a bit more aggressive on the pit entry here.
And we'll watch pit exit as well, because it dumps you right out into the racing there at about turn 2. Let's go ahead and call the grid for you now. Sam, we'll take it 2 at a time here. I'll take the front row. Ryan Otis and Jake Wright fill up row number 1.
Yeah, no surprises there. Travis Dregerline in 3rd. Jason Galvin 4th. Wouldn't be a surprise, but he had been struggling a bit this week. Nice to see him up there.
Row 3, Scott Bolster, and of course our race sponsor, Dustin Wardlaw.
Pierre Daigle and Rory Collins there, sitting on the 4th row.
He leads the points in the IndyCar Series for Lionheart, Andrew Kinsella and Chris Stouffer in the 10th spot.
David Altman and Ron Hacker kick off page number 2 here.
In the Baker's Dozen, it is Jonathan Real Thing Goke, Frank Biesner in 14th.
And then we have Patrick Taylor starting right in the middle of the field ahead of lead organizer George Ranzaldo.
Series veterans Bob Mikas and Vincent Bluthenthal, 17th and 18th.
Tony Schillen and Mitchell Muller round out the top 20.
Racing in a carbon fiber machine, it's Ed Tutwiler today in the blackjack position. Big Joe Hassard out there in the double deuce.
Yeah, and then we got Joe Branch starting much further back than we're used to seeing him, alongside Robert Blewin on row 12.
Last car to put in a qualifying time, Brian Greenlee, and then he's going to be inside of Matthew Mercer. With the final 2 drivers did not post times, that would be Peter Edwins and Jack Bogan. 28 names on the grid right now. Let's see if all 28 are going to be out there. Looks like Jack has found a spot. I believe Bogan not out there yet, but Peter Edwins is. It's a rolling start, so they'll go around through the hairpin. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, well, you see them getting gridded up on the back straight right there. They'll pretty much go through this final chicane, and then Ryan Otis will have control of a field whenever he wants. During the practice race on Tuesday, Travis Dregerline, who's lined up on 3rd, had control of a field, and he chose to go as soon as he came out of a chicane. And that really led to him having a good jump into turn 1, and he controlled the field from then. Will Ryan Otis do the same today? I hope he does, because I'm a little worried, Bill, that if he bunches the field up as they get to the line, we're still going to have them all double file into turns 1 and 2, and the turn 1 and 2 complex at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve has produced some really chaotic starts in Formula 1, NASCAR, just any kind of series that races here. We're about to find out.
Yeah, let me correct myself. They were actually gridding up here on the other side of the hairpin, so they just have to go through 13 and 14. That's the Wall of Champions, and I believe Sam's right there. It is a long drive down to the start-finish line, so iRacing will not show them the green for quite a while. So let's hope, if you're looking for a safe start, let's hope that Ryan gets on the gas and we let these guys go as soon as they get around through the Wall of Champions. We'll find out soon enough. Out there in the Marlboro car right now, that is Ryan Otis, Jake Wright, the veteran, right behind him.
And he's
And
going.
sure enough, there he goes. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows. Ryan Otis leads the stampede down into the first corner. Wright tucks in behind. Galvin's going to get third. Rounding out your top 5, Jägerliner and Wardlow.
Clean start, all the top 10 pretty much get single file. Some side-by-side battling going on for around 10th place between Chris Stouffer and Jonathan Goki. Looks like a clean start throughout the field, at least through turns 1 and 2.
A lot of give and take through 1 and 2 to get all those guys through there. Meanwhile, up in front, the order remains the same. The 2 cars out in front right now trying to distance themselves, Otis and Wright. Wright's got about a second lead over the 3rd place driver, Jason Galvin.
Yeah, massive battle going on for around 18th between Joe Hassett, Tony Schoen and Joe Branch. Was trying to make sure they all got through these treacherous chicanes. All these drivers at the back trying to make their way up through the field early on.
Single file through the chicane now for most everybody as we get all the way through. Everybody clean so far, I'm watching. We're looking all the way 22, 23. A little bit of a 2-car battle back there from it looked like Mercer and Lewin together, but they get that negotiated out as they go now. They're working their way through the hairpin.
Very hard to make passes throughout the entire course except for the back straight leading into the final chicane. Do we have any drivers close together heading towards the wall of champions? Of course, there's a wall that you don't want to bite on the X of this final chicane. It doesn't look like we do up in the top 10. Ryan Otis leads lap 1.
Sam, what about tire temperatures? They have to warm them up a little bit on this, or are they pretty much racing right now?
They're pretty much racing, Bill. I mean, these cars do squirm on the cold tyres at the start of a run. It was very bad in Watkins Glen. We had a lot of drivers spin out at the start of the runs, but it doesn't seem to be as bad here as Montreal. But it's definitely something you do need to be concerned with. Meanwhile, I'm still keeping an eye on that battle for 19th between Joe Hassett, just pulled a move on Mitchell Moeller.
As far as I can tell, I think we are still knock on plastic here. Perfectly clean so far. Everybody's still on the track.
Yeah, and I think the fact that, as you mentioned, Bill, this is a bit of a street course kind of track, even though it's not a street course, led to these drivers being very cautious in the opening stages. I do get concerned that will lead to a bit of a sense of false security later on as the race goes on. We'll have to wait and see. Jonathan Goke, here he goes, making way for 11th in the hairpin. Oh, very close to Chris Stouffer on the exit. I thought Chris Stouffer would be a bit higher up in this, to be honest. But right now he's just dropped back to 12th place. Let's see if he tries to counter challenge down this long back straight.
One of the few passes that we've seen so far.
Big crash, exit in the hairpin between Brian Greenlee and Tony Schoen, both cars damaged.
Yep. Schoen was off track and he was actually bringing it back on and he got into Greenlee. Now let's see what's Schoen. I'm not sure what happened to Schoen initially, but whatever mistake he made, it was the aftermath here. I guess he's trying to make the pass. As we watch here, then the car gets loose. Okay, here he is. He's off in the grass, then he brings it back on. And he, oh, you know what? Looks like he got the power down, maybe. Is that what you think what happened there, Sam? The car got loose on him?
Yeah, we can watch on board, but yeah, that's very easy to happen early on the run. Now, Tony Schoen has a din to his front wing. He's continuing around. Brian Lee is trying to drive his car to the pits, but it is crabbing badly. I don't think Brian Greenlee is getting back in this race.
Yeah, it was just coming. He got the car off the grass and got onto the tarmac, and then the car got loose from behind, putting down the power.
I'll tell you what, Bill, we didn't see much of a race up front at Watkins Glen. Brian Otis kind of ran away from Drake Wright. The same is not happening today. I was worried that it would, looking at their qualifying times. The fact that Ryan Otis was over half a second quicker than Drake Wright. But as you can see on screen here, Wright is keeping the pressure on up front here.
If you're a fan of the Lionheart series, both in this Lotus 79 and in their IndyCar series, Ryan Otis really the only driver that can keep Jake Wright honest when we get to the twisty courses. And right now he's having a great run out in front. Wright hanging with him though.
Yeah,
Sam, I'm going to ask you one more thing about tires. What about degradation? Will they be changing tires when they come in? Do they go away on a stint?
Oh, well, a tyre change on these cars takes 5 seconds, so the drivers will change tyres anyway. The biggest thing I found with tyre degradation, Bill, is that under braking, especially in the hairpin, it was very easy to overshoot turns such as the hairpin that required heavy braking later on in the run as the tyres began to wear. Other than that, it wasn't too bad, but what we will have to watch out for is the undercut. Even though these cars do squirm on these new cold tyres, they are very fast on these new cold tyres, and so we talked about that pit window being small, lap 17 to lap 20. If you are stuck behind a car behind you, expect some cars, in front of you rather, expect some cars behind to pit on lap 17 and try and use that undercut on those newer tyres to see if they can leapfrog a car in front of them. Jonathan Goke has lost a couple of positions here, we think.
We're looking for it right now. I don't see anything showing up. Maybe he just might have had an off, or maybe possibly picked up a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, he has lost a spot or two, I think, this lap. So Ugoki, though, still running in 12th place. Couple of cars behind him.
Why don't we stay on that battle, though, this battle for 12th, because right behind him we have some aggressive driver. That's Hacker, Ron Hacker in 13th, and then the man who was really making a charge into that chicane was Frank Beiser. We'll go with Beiser on that one, I'm going to think. Maybe Frank can stop into the interview booth after the race, give us how that name is pronounced. Frank running in 14th right now, same place where he qualified. George Anzaldo back behind them in 15th, and then Bob Mikas. Passing, Sam, really at a premium right now. Guys are really struggling to get around anybody.
Well, the best way I found to make a pass at this circuit is basically ride on the rear window of the car in front of you and kind of wait for them to make a mistake. Of course, the risk you run when you do that is you getting caught up in their mistake. So, oh, and here's Bob Mikas making a pass. Very late move. Contact. They get away with it. Oh, it's George Anzaldo, the league organizer, you don't want to race into, roughly.
Made that move on him going into the chicane before that final hairpin. Wasn't able to make the pass.
Now, even though these open wheel cars, the cars can get away with damage like that. Little scrapes and bruises. It's really when you hit the wall hard that there's a problem. Meanwhile, talking about a problem, Jason Galvin running in 3rd place. I think he ran off in turn 1. Comes back on, but he's got Travis Dregerline and Dustin Wardler all over the back of him.
That's the battle for 3rd. Yes, he has fallen off the top 2 who are running away with it. We're talking about Otis and Wright right now. So Galvin really doing his best to hang on to 3rd position. We'll run down the top 10 for you in just a few minutes. We'll stay on this battle a little bit. We're going to look at the car in the very back, looking at the 2 cars in front. This is going to be our race sponsor, Dustin Wardlow, going to be looking up at Travis Jagerliner, and just ahead of him, Jason Galvin. Galvin really struggling through that chicane. I don't think he had a good exit. I think now he is under threat. Jagerliner, though, with nowhere to go, Galvin eaves his way back over onto the racing line.
Oh, and Wardlaw going to make a late move in the hairpin, maybe on Dragaliner, but not yet. Now, Galvin had not been... Oh, there's almost a coming together in 6th place behind this between Scott Bolster and Pierre Daigle, but they remain in those positions. Galvin hadn't exactly been the fastest car this week, whereas Travis Dragaliner and Dustin Wardlaw had during practice. Those 2 were running 1 and 2. Galvin, it was kind of more in the midfield, so I wonder if he's got a good hot lap pace now, if he's put some practice in. It remains to be seen, though, if he can retain that 3rd position through the long run.
Let's go ahead now. I promised you we'd run down the top 10. Let's go ahead and do it while we have the chance before the pit window opens here in about another 13 laps or so. Our leaders right now, they've been running 1-2 the whole time. It's Ryan Otis and Jake Wright. Neither driver able to get away from the other one. That interval right now, about 1.3 seconds. Otis beginning to open it up a little bit. But then you got to go a long way back, Sam, about 7 seconds back before you get to the battle we were watching between Jason Galvin, Travis Jagerliner, and Dustin Wardlow. That's the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Then, Sam, I'll give it to you. We get all the way back to 6th position back there.
Yeah, Scott Bolster running in 6th position ahead of Pierre Daigle, who's been really making some lunges at him recently, despite the fact I think he's a bit far back, a bit too far back for that right now. Rory Collins is running in 8th place, just having a quiet race there right now. Likewise, Andrew Kinsella having a quiet race in 9th, and David Altman rounding out the top 10. David Altman started in 11th, he's moved ahead of Chris Stouffer for that position, and you can see he's not too far behind Kinsella there.
Let's go ahead and highlight our big mover right now, running in 23rd position. Give him a little shout out there. That's Matthew Mercer. He is up 5 spots. Now, I think a couple of those are from the attrition that happened in front of him. He's all by himself right now, having a good race nevertheless.
Boy, really seeing some mistakes out of Kinsella in 9th place, but he's able to hold on to it for now.
Let's move up, Director, just a little bit ahead of Mercer. A battle going on. This is Moeller and Branch in a battle. No, let me correct myself. It looks like it's Tutwiler. Branch is ahead, side by side as they come down into the wall of champions and getting the move from the outside. No, they're going to continue. They're going too wide through there and get in the position as Tutwiler. Moeller drops back to 22nd position. So there you have it. We got to pass on screen.
And battle not too far behind them for 24th, I believe it is as well. Tony Schoen on the outside of, and off the course he goes in that battle with Peter Edwins. I don't know if Schoen will have to, he yields the position back. Now, of course, Schoen's trying to come back from his front wind damage earlier on, and we'll get a replay of what's just going on. Let's not forget that Tony Schoen came into this race 4th in the points. These drivers get 2 drop weeks, but round 5 of 18, you really don't want to be using one of your drop weeks this early on in the season if you're battling for the championship.
Taking advantage of the runoff area. Going to cost him some time, but it will save the car.
Yeah, we may lose picture here for just a second, but do not be concerned. The picture will come back as we sort out a little technical gremlin. There you see the top 2 still running within proximity of each other, and the battle for 20th that you've been watching, Bill, is really still the strongest one out there on the track.
Now we're back and we see our leader out there. You see him go by. You can see Jake Wright a little bit back. If you stay on this, maybe in the Dougie Beer camera, you don't even see. You can see how far back Jason Galvin really is, not even in the picture frame.
Yeah, and I've got to imagine Jaggerline and Wardlaw are getting a little bit impatient back there in 4th and 5th place. I mean, they've been following Galvin for a few laps. Yep. They've probably been seeing him. I mean, I'm not saying Galvin's slow or making plenty of mistakes, because he's obviously strong enough to run there in 3rd place. But just the fact that Jaggerline and Wardlaw have been all over the back of him makes me think they've got to be getting a bit frustrated. Galvin misses the apex in the hairpin.
He missed the apex, and Jägerliner didn't know where to go. He had a good run through there, but I think he had to back off so he didn't T-bone Galvin, and that really got him back into the clutches of Wardlow. This is really an exciting battle going on right now. Galvin taking advantage of the run that he had out of the hairpin.
And it's the battles like this where we're really going to see pit strategy come into play.
Yeah, I almost wonder, I would not be surprised to see Wardlow and Jägerliner come into the first opportunity and or to do at least the opposite of whatever Galvin does. I think they're actually faster than Jason if they could just get around him. Jason just fast enough to not be able to let these guys pass.
And Jonathan Goki spins from 12th place. He was holding off a challenge from Ron Hacker entering the final chicane. Goki gets going again, but he has lost 3 positions.
Losing a spot to Hacker, who was right behind it, and then to Beiser as well. George Anzaldo going to pick that up one too.
Yeah, and you see Goki rejoins in front of another one of our championship contenders, Bob Micah's not having a great day today. And of course, Bob Micah's also didn't have a great day at Pocono. Our last race, he was involved in an incident there, but still salvaged a pretty decent finish, 14th.
Who wasn't involved in an incident at Pocono? That one was attrition was the winner of that race.
Yeah, sure that they make a list of the drivers who came home with a clean car. I was not one of those drivers.
Drivers come across the start-finish line. We are working lap number 11.
Yeah, but now, Bill, you asked earlier about tyre wear. Now I think in the next few laps as well, as there's a change for 8th place, Rory Collins, Andrew Kinsella, side by side. Collins was in front in the blue car, but he made a mistake in the last chicane. That allows Kinsella to get up alongside him. Kinsella drives it deep into turn 1 and takes 8th position.
Back there watching is David Altman trying to see if he can take advantage of Collins as he gets past. So Kinsella picks up a spot. He qualified in 9th and now has picked up that 1 spot. And look at this now. Here comes Altman.
Yeah, well, Altman started 11th and he's up to 10th, trying to look for another position here.
Let's stay on this because they're going into 8 and 9. This is that chicane that sets up right before the hairpin. I think that Altman might be a little too far back to make a move on Collins.
And I think it's fair to say that Altman is a bit of a road course specialist, because at the opening 2 oval races he finished outside the top 25. We got the Watkins Glen and he qualified 8th, but he got involved in an incident during that race and also finished towards the back. So Altman just looking for a bit of luck this season.
Is there enough time to pick up a bit of a toe here, Sam, before you get into the Wall of Champions, the 13-14 chicane?
Absolutely, but you really do need to get a run out of the final turn, and none of those drivers have a good enough run this time around. Boy, another mistake, and Collins hits Champions Wall. First time we've seen that today, and that gives David Altman 9th place. However, I think he grazed it just enough where he'll be able to get away with that.
Actually, I'm not sure he even grazed it. I think he just woed it up there and just had a horrible exit. Yeah, I don't think he got into the walls. I think the car's okay.
We'll ride on board, find out for sure here.
Here we go, and I think, oh, yeah, maybe.
I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, we're thinking he hit it.
Anyway, but before all that started, Bill, we were talking about tyre wear. I think this is where you're going to start to see the cars just overshoot turns occasionally, where they go on the brakes and the tyres aren't as good as stopping the car as they were a few laps ago. And now the leaders are having to deal with lap traffic as well. Jack Bogan and Peter Edwins have already gone a lap down. Tony Schoen too. Remember, Schoen has that damage from earlier.
Won't be long, they'll be coming up behind Robert Bluen. Let's give you an interval now. Little by little, Sam, Otis has been able to eke it out a little bit farther. That gap is now 1.6.
Yeah, so what I think Drake Wright is going to have to do, I don't know how much practice he's done this week, is pit on lap 17. I really think Wright's going to have to try and use the undercut here to, if not overtake Ryan Otis during a round of stops, get back right onto his rear wing. Boy, the spot for third is still something.
Yeah, I have been watching that too. We can go back there. In fact, our director's on it right now. There's Jason Galvin. It's not just the battle for third, it's what's going on behind him between Jägerliner and Wardlow. Wardlow might be the fastest car as well. Maybe we can go on board with Wardlow again, get a little shot here of our Dewars Candy onboard camera. There you have it.
Well, there was a 2-hour practice session ahead of this server opening up, and granted Otis and Wright weren't in that session, but Dustin Wardlow was the fastest of it. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Wardlaw is getting a bit frustrated back here, and that's not going to help. I think he got a couple of wheels on the curbs here, and that gave him too much oversteer.
You could really see that on the onboard camera, that the car that started to come around a little bit, he didn't get a good bite out of the hairpin. Now they go down into this 13-14 chicane.
Bite out of a hairpin on the Wars Candy car. Bill, was that pun intended right there?
Sometimes they happen by mistake. Sometimes they're subliminal. My mind works without me knowing it.
Well, he wants a bite for fourth position, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, he really does.
As these two battle like this, so that will allow Galvin to run away a bit.
I know we've been focusing on that battle a lot, but really it's one of the best battles out on the track right now. Because now, Sam, not only are the battles a little spaced out, but with the lap traffic, a lot of these are being broken up as they have to go around the back markers.
Yeah, as much as we talk about how this track isn't easy to pass on though, Bill, that there is room for the back markers to get out of the way here. I think that's just because it's straight chicane.
Yeah.
The back markers kind of just get to back off on the straight parts.
Let's go ahead and talk about how many cars are on the lead lap. 23 still out there.
Yeah, and Ed Tutwiler, you were about to mention it, Bill, the last drive on the lead lap, he almost wadded his car up last lap. He had to come to a stop coming out of a chicane leading towards the hairpin. He got it all kinds of sideways, but managed to avoid the wall. It cost him a couple of positions, so...
I got to tell you, I am surprised that the walls have not claimed more victims here than they have. This race has been very clean.
Well, we see this right-left chicane here right now that I was just talking about, and I tell you from experience, the way I found to get through that chicane, and I think I mentioned this early in the broadcast, is to really attack the right-handed curb, and then you kind of avoid the wall on the left. Now, I'm not saying that works for everyone, but I almost wonder if all of these drivers by now, they've done enough practice where they've learned little rules about how to attack each chicane. That it might not be necessarily the quickest way through the turn, but it's a way that helps them get through the turn without a collision, as we see about for 20th here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on that as well. This is the battle. This is Joe Branch being challenged by Mitchell Moeller. Now, Branch qualified 23rd. He's up 3 spots. Moeller has fallen 1 spot. He qualified 20th. Has fallen back a bit. He's trying to get that back right now.
Still, though, Joe Branch, another points contender, not having a great race today.
So they work through 2. Now they'll come up on the right-hander. That is 3. This little right-left combination. Then I don't know if this is, I consider it a chicane. This little 6-7 combination here. Not really, kind of too big for a chicane, but a good left-right. Then right along the coastline. You look at that camera just to the right, you could go swimming.
Of course, since this is a bit of a public park, I believe, during the year, you can always bicycle around the circuit. And I guess go swimming right after that. Nice little day out. And then at the end of the day, fire up a race car and take it around. I don't think I'll let you do that on public park days, though.
We raised in California, born and raised, think that you can swim in any body of water. Might be a little cold out there, maybe not the best place to go swimming.
These drivers will soon be going a lap down the Ryan Otis. He's also on the back straight coming into the final chicane here. He just put Ed Tutwiler a lap down. We now have 22 cars left on the lead lap, and we're not even at the halfway point yet, such as the pace of Ryan Otis. And also the pace of Ryan Otis, he has put even more of a distance on Drake right now. It's over 3 seconds. I wonder if Otis has been able to manage his tyres a little bit better than Wright.
Yeah, I would say that Wright is falling back, but you really can't say that when Wright has an 18-second lead on the car chasing him, and that's Jason Galvin. So clearly, the top 2 cars out there, Otis and Wright right now. Otis may be a tick faster. Let's go to 3rd right now. That battle continues. Galvin still out in front of Jägerliner with Lord Wardlow, seeing if there's any way around right now.
Oh, and Galvin missed the apex on the turn in there. The thing is, though, there's really nowhere for Jägerliner to try and get by. Galvin holds off.
Stay on this because there's another good passing zone here. They go through again through this chicane. Let's see what kind of drive Wardlow can get. Jägerliner. Nope, Jägerliner's going to have no chance. Sam, I think you called it. I think this pass is going to be made in pit lane.
Yeah, Vincent Blumenthal talking about pit lane into the pits at the end of lap 16. I'm a little concerned about, well, mind you, if he thinks, hey, I'm going to go a lap down anyway, then yes, he could make it to the end from here. And considering the fact he was running at the tail end of the lead lap, maybe he should be able to make it to the end. But the pit window will definitely be open at the completion of this lap, but the leaders have just started, lap 17. Actually, I take that back, the leader's on lap 18 now. But still, I think Blumenthal came in a lap earlier than I had anticipated.
Well, we've been paying a lot of attention. How about we talk about the back half of the top 10 real quick? Haven't given much love to Scott Bolster out there, running all by himself in 6th place. Again, about a 2-second lead back to Pierre Nijdendegla. Degla, of course, has raced in this car, in this combination, one of only 2 drivers who have done this in the race here today, along with Jake Wright. Andrew Kinsella, we saw him make a pass on the track a little while ago. He's comfortably in 8th position, about 4 seconds up on David Altman. And back in 10th, we saw him a little bit earlier in the battle. He's fallen back, Rory Collins. So there's your back half of the top 10. Get that in before the pit windows open, which we think is going to be any time now.
Yeah, you talked about Pierre Daigle. Let's also mention the fact that he is actually one of our 5 Canadians on the roster, as is Robert Bluin, Patrick Taylor, and Andrew Kinsella, who are in this race. Graham Cormier, I don't think, made the start of this race. But I think all of those drivers are having pretty decent days today. Haven't talked much about Patrick Taylor, he's back in 17th. And meanwhile, that battle for 3rd, all 3 of them just came into the pits at the same time.
See, now that's... If I'm on the pit box and I'm Jägerliner, or if I'm Jägerliner or Wardlow and I see Galvin break for the pits, I go around one more time.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that this series requires you to call out when you're making a pit stop.
So we're going to stay on this. This will be a very fast stop. It's not like we have to wait here very long. So first in, it's a matter of doing the math now, and a little bit of the luck of the iRacing dice. Galvin first in, first out.
Yeah, there's not really much strategy you can do here. These drivers came in early, so they've all got to take a full tank. And, Frank Levine's there right here on the exit with Travis Stregerliner. This could break up that battle. Oh, Frank drives in really hard and not going to make a turn. That could have been ugly.
Not sure what that was all about. Maybe just a loss of concentration. Yeah, he was able to get it woed up before he got into the back of Galvin.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is, Bill, these drivers have been running single file all race long. They finally get alongside each other, and I can tell you our leaders are in, by the way. Otis and Drake Wright just came into the pits. And they finally get alongside each other, and their brake markers in a bit of a different place than before.
Whoa. Good job, though. Good job from Frank.
So Otis and Wright into the pit. So they came in 1-2. We anticipate them to come out 1-2. As far as pit boxes this season, Bill, has been a bit of a talking point because the Lionheart series doesn't allow you to drive through more than 3 pit boxes. But I can tell you the pit road speed limit is slow enough, the pit boxes are large enough. I don't anticipate any drama in pit road today.
Wright picked up a little bit of time. He had fallen back over 3 seconds. Now he's back about, well, I'm looking at 1.4 seconds right now. So he made up a little bit there. Hopefully he took enough fuel. He might have just said, I'll take as much as I need, and when Ryan goes, I'll go as well. Collins coming in as everybody now is making their stop.
Yeah, the battle, I think it was initially for 7th place between Pierre Daigle and Andrew Kinsella close. Oh, and side by side, exiting the pits comes Chris Stouffer, goes out ahead of Rory Collins.
Right, remember we just did our top 10 rundown. Collins was in that top 10, so he has lost the position, I believe, to Chris Stouffer. Give you some time in the box. Collins was in his box for 9.4 seconds, Stouffer for almost a second less. And even worse is the cone-to-cone time. Almost a second and a half difference between Collins and Stouffer, Stouffer being much shorter. So again, we'll watch that to make sure Stouffer has enough fuel to bring it home. But right now, he works his way into the top 10.
Bit of a battle as Joe Hassett came out of the pits and Patrick Taylor tried to find a way by, but he yielded that. And the problem for Ryan Otis, our race leader, is that battle was going on right in front of him. But finally it breaks up just in time and Otis will get by.
So it's a lot of air traffic controller going on right now as everyone trying to sort themselves out where they are. Let's go to third and we can update you on this battle. It broke up a little bit, but now Galvin had a nice lead. It was almost about 1.2, almost 1.5 seconds actually after the pit stop. And I thought that Jägerliner was faster, and I'm being proved right because Travis has been able to run him down. Which again, Sam, makes me question why come in, maybe run that one lap without Galvin in front of you, and see if you had something that way.
Yeah, I question it as well. Keeping an eye on Ron Hacker, I think he's came down pit road for 2 separate pit stops, and not entirely sure what that's about. We'll try and give you an update on that. Battle for third continues.
Sorting through here, seeing if I can find anything going on. Really, not a real battle. Well, this battle for third is the best one to watch right now.
We just had a spin in the last turn. Pete Edwins, he's still pointing backwards right when this battle for third is coming through the turn. He gets pulled up on the curb just in time.
Nice onboard camera might be from Mitchell Moeller. He had a good look at this one. Either Moeller or Mercer both had a car in front of them. We'll take one more look.
Another car. Oh, and I'm sorry, Ron Hacker and Vincent Blumenthal have just had an incident. Vincent Blumenthal had spun in one of the chicanes. He was trying to get off a racetrack. Let's jump to it straight away because it happens right after this. Go to Vincent Blumenthal and you'll see as he tries to get back going again, he collects Ron Hacker, who for whatever reason had just came back down pit road for a second time. So his day had gone a bit south anyhow, but now it really went south when these two came together here.
Now we look at that. There's the spin. Now you'll watch. Here comes the leaders. This is Wright and Otis going by right there. Now we'll stay on for a bit because everything's fine. And then when he starts to come back out on the track, and it takes a while. Look how long he waited. Now there goes. You'll watch here. Now you'll see Galvin go by in the yellow car in a minute. Oh, there it is. That's not Galvin, but
it's Ron Hacker.
That's Ron Hacker.
This battle for third, I know we've said this a few times today, Bill, but it's heating up again, and it's going to continue to heat up as the pressure builds as the laps close down. Wardlaw has a run on Jägerliner. Not going to do anything with it there.
They've fallen a little bit off of Galvin now, so yes, Wardlaw has been stalking him the entire race.
And these two were running 1-2 like this during Tuesday's practice race. It was only 25 laps long, which is what they're coming to right now. Wardlaw didn't make the end of that race because he spun out in this little section they're coming up to. Even though we call this part straight, it most definitely is not straight. Look at that, left and then a long right-hander. You really still have to drive these cars through that section of a racetrack, and that's where Dustin threw it away early on during Tuesday's race, and Jägerliner went on for the win. Right now it's not for the win, it's for fourth place, but once again Jägerliner holding on in front as Wardlaw tries to close in.
Now they come up on the lap car. This is Matthew Mercer gets out of the way.
And as these two battle, that allows Galvin to run away again.
The problem is Wardlaw not close enough to get, unless he gets a really good run through the hairpin, to pick up any draft down the straight.
Ryan Otis, I don't know if it was due to traffic, but he had a really slow lap last time. Drake Wright has ate right back into that gap of our leader.
Under a second, it is the closest it has been for quite a while.
So we continue to keep an eye on this battle for 4th as well, because they're still running quite close, and this is where any overtaking passes are going to happen. Now we get an idea of just how close our 2 leaders are.
I went back and saw what happened to Otis. He couldn't get a great corner entrance into the chicane, into the 13-14 chicane, because Jack Bogan was coming into the pits, so he had to take a real shallow entrance. Cost him a ton of time, and that's what let Wright get back up on him.
They're coming to the completion of lap 24 this time. Still 13 laps left to go when they cross the line. A long way still to go. I don't think Wright got through the hairpin that well this time. I know we're watching the battle for 4th, but I'll tell you the battle for lead breaks up a little bit as Wright had a bad run through the hairpin.
The battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, those cars are close enough together, close enough pace that neither one can get an advantage anywhere.
Tell you one battle I've been keeping half an eye on throughout the race, but I totally missed its climax, as Andrew Kinsella, it looks like, has finally gotten by Pierre Daigle for 7th position.
Yep, that's our bad. We should have been on that one. Kinsella having a great run. That's another pass made on the track. After the pit cycle, he was behind Daigle.
Another battle that's been going on all races, a one for 14th between George Ansaldo and Bob Mikas, who goes very late into the braking zone, trying to attempt a Jensen Button on Sebastian Vettel kind of pass there, but Ansaldo holds it together and holds 14th place for now.
We'll stay on this a bit as they head into the 8-9 chicane. Look at this, they're coming right at you. Thank you, Dougie Beard, for that one. I love this shot. Now they head towards the hairpin. Is he close enough? I don't think so. That's the blue car of Ansaldo out in front. Mike is behind. Ansaldo goes really wide through the hairpin, but he's going to get a better drive from that wider line. We can stay on this a bit longer because the leader's coming up behind this, Ryan Otis. So these guys are not only in this battle. Here he comes, taking a peek on the inside, Sam.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the inside is the desired way to make the move stick, but he's gonna make it work for now. And Ansaldo will not be able to counterattack, and now he's got to think about yielding for our race leaders.
We ride off the tailpipe of Bob Mikas, looking back at Ansaldo, and now you'll see the race leader back there in that Marlboro car.
Yeah, Ryan Otis isn't appreciating this right now. Of course, George Ansaldo, being the league organizer, should be more than aware of what's going on behind him.
And this is letting Jake Wright back into the picture as Otis is getting crushed here with lap time.
And Wright knows he's got to make his opportunity now while he has it. There's a place for Ansaldo. Ansaldo will pull over to the right here, I should imagine, but is it too little too late? This is a straight. It's long enough for Ansaldo to kind of just pull over, but no, he's holding on to it for now.
George, I know you're in a battle right there. Next Backmarker United meeting, you might need to come in early and set up the chairs. That's really a nice lift. Could have let the two guys by. This is really, Otis has got to be worried now. This is the first time. Now in the hairpin, let's see. George goes wide, but look at Wright. Is right behind him now. Wright can't get a good bite off the corner, though.
But Wright can try and use the hole punched by the two cars in front of him to get around on Otis. Well, I'll tell you what, the fact that Ansaldo didn't let them both by at the same time there kind of broke the battle back up a little bit. But overall, this has definitely worked out the Wright's favour. And let's not forget, now they have Mikas in front of them. What kind of fight is Mikas going to put up, knowing that Ansaldo is not too far behind him?
Yeah, Mikas just worked so hard to get that spot. He would like to be able to let these guys around as easily without causing them time right now. And this, look, he's going to take a wide line.
Oh, too wide. Almost ran off into the grass.
Yeah, wide enough to let him by, but without losing the spot to Ansaldo. So now, Wright's got to be saying, this is my chance, but now Otis has a clear track ahead of him as they work lap number 27 right now. I apologize. Yeah, I'm right. Lap number 27. I have that right?
I gotta go back and check if anything's changed in the battle for third. Well, we've been talking about that, and yes, it has. There's been a change for fourth. Dustin Wardlow has finally made it by Travis Dregeliner. Now, they've both fallen quite far back of Jason Galvin. It's quite surprising to me, but I anticipate they'll run him down again before the end of the race.
And that was made quite a while ago. Not even, it looked like he made that. Let's see if I can find where the pass was made. It was in the hairpin a couple laps ago. Wardlow, you know what? Oh, this is too bad we didn't get this one. He had to. Jägerliner had to take a defensive line into the hairpin, and Wardlow was able to get a great run out of it.
Yeah,
that was a long time coming for Dustin.
Yeah, I think we're excusable though on the for missing out on the basis that we've got this battle for the lead shaken up again. Well, I'll say again, really for the first time this race, because let's not forget also what's at stake championship-wise here, and that's early on in the season. But Ryan Otis leads the points ahead of Drake Wright, and Wright seeing Otis cross the line in front of him would only mean that Otis gets to build up his points lead heading into New Hampshire.
Now, there's no doubt about it that Otis' forte is the twisty course, not nearly as dominant on the ovals. Jake Wright's certainly a great road racer as well, but maybe has the nod over Otis when it comes to a circular track.
Yeah, well, I think Drake Wright's 15th place finish, getting caught up in that incident fast at Pocono, definitely hasn't helped his championship chances. If he'd avoided that, he would have been leading the points right now, but as we mentioned early on in the season. Meanwhile, I'm watching Dustin Wardlow because he's got caught up in the lap traffic of Joe Branch right now. Finally able to get away by him, find a way by him, and Travis Dregeliner will follow through.
And there's a battle. This is Branch. Let's stay on Branch for a minute. He's in a battle. This is a battle for 18th position with Ed Tutler right behind him. Those two back markers get out of the way. Fighting going along up in front and farther back in the field as well. Those guys both one lap down.
Branch holds on for now. Got a better run out of the chicane there. Now we go into the hairpin, and really though it's not about how well you enter the hairpin, it's about how well you exit it, and I think Tutwiler got just a bit too much wheel spin there to really mount the challenge into the last chicane, but we'll wait and see if he can prove me wrong.
Joe Branch, a veteran of the Lionheart guys. Boy, he is really being pestered though.
Yeah, not far behind these guys. There's a huge pack of cars, of leaders and lap cars making their way. They're about to go across the start-finish line now, being led by Pierre Daigle in 8th. And there we are, an accident at the back of that pack between Matthew Mercer and Vincent Blumenthal battling for 21st place.
Going through the chicane right onto them before they get to the main straight. Both cars continue.
Yeah, I think that was a bit too late on the brakes there for Vincent. Boy, that was quite wild.
Looking to see, I think both cars a little bit off pace now. That we're looking there at Blumenthal. And again, that's what the leaders have to worry about, that doesn't happen in front of them.
Yeah, the leaders have broke up a little bit, but the battle I was about to mention at the front of the pack, that has been picking up is this battle for 8th. We've been talking about Pierre Daigle in 8th place and David Altman in 9th place. However, when we talked about them, we mentioned it individually. Well, now I think they're close enough. We need to mention them as one.
Remember, after the pit stop, Daigle came out in 7th position. He got passed by Kinsella. Now looking maybe to have another spot drop here as Altman is on the hunt. Altman has been able to run him down. It was a gap of about four seconds after the stops. Still with plenty of time to get it done. 8 laps still left of racing. We can stay on this battle. Just want to report up front, Otis has opened it up a little bit now. It's about 3 seconds. on right. Once they cleared traffic, Ryan was able to start putting in some fast laps.
This race has been so clean, Bill, but I'm getting concerned about the drivers getting a bit complacent in the closing stages and with their worn-off tyres and their light fuel loads. And let's make note that the battle for third has brewed its head again. Jason Galvin had run away from Dustin Wardlow and Travis Dregeliner. Well, they've ran him back down.
Yeah, but this time Jason Galvin has a different car hudding him in the form of Dustin Wardlow, who got around Jägerliner. Boy, if Dustin Wardlow were able to get a podium, he would have to consider this a victory right now after he's worked so hard. He has not had a clear windscreen the entire race. He's had somebody in front of him.
Yeah, I know Dustin entered this week kind of struggling a little bit with the car, and obviously he's not struggling anymore. He's found his pace again because he's had a whale of a race today, but I almost wonder how much is he really willing to fight for it here? Is he like, well, I'm still fighting with this car a little bit, I kind of just want to get out of here with a good top 5 finish for my DeWalls Candy car? Or is he thinking, okay, I've got the hang of this now, I fought for this 4th place, I can get this guy for 3rd too.
Unfortunately, he can't. He's in the position where he can't make a mistake, because if he does, he's going to have Jägerliner's going to be all over him. Let's stay on this a bit as they head down into the hairpin. I think Dustin's too far back to make anything happen, but what he will be able to do is get a good run through the hairpin. See how strong he is. Oh, look at Jägerliner almost gets into the back of him. And that's going to cost Travis the exit speed out of there. He's going to pay for that mistake all the way down this back straight. They're coming up, Sam, on Patrick Taylor. He could play a factor in this battle.
Yeah, I'm trying to interpret a message my director just sent me. I have a feeling DeWalls Candy really wants Wardlow to get this a podium finish out of this, and I wouldn't count it out here, DeWalls, because they have been faster than Jason all race on. How much can Jason hold on, especially considering the fact that his rear tyres are going to be burning off as he tries to make sure he accelerates out of all of these slow turns quite quickly to hold these guys behind him.
Well, DeWalls Candy prides itself on its chewy toffee right now. Wardlow has chewed into the lead between him and Galvin right now. It's just 0.4 of a second. Really just a matter of car lengths when they get into the twisty sections. A great battle that has gone on the entire race between Galvin, Wardlow, and Jägerliner. I guess Jason probably had the best of it. He's been out in front the whole time.
Oh, and I know Jason's built up a gap above the other cars, but I saw him pointing a little bit to the right as he came out of a hairpin that time. Meanwhile, go back up to the battle up front here, it's broke up to 3 seconds again. I have a feeling Drake got caught in a bit of lap traffic not too long ago. Well, these customised fixed setups make a night and day difference, Bill. We rolled out at Pocono with a setup that we're all like, okay, we need to work on this, and you saw how that ended up on race day, whereas here we came to Montreal with a setup everyone was quite pleased with, and we've had a very clean, a very exciting race today. Not a whole lot of passing, but there's been plenty of nose-to-tail racing, drivers putting pressure on another. Some of them have ended in mistakes, some of them have ended in passes. Some of them we don't know yet. There's 4 laps left to find out, or 5 laps rather, left to find out how they're going to end.
You know, on my notes I have that Altman was trying to make a move on Degla. He got that pass made. I'm not sure if we actually caught that on screen. Degla now back to 9th.
We did not, but a very good race from Altman. I mean, he's been quiet about it, but he's worked his way up 3 spots the hard way during the race.
Yep. Bad news for Daigle. He has dropped 2 spots after the pit stop. Good news is he's got 10 seconds before he gets back to Fritz Stouffer. So I think he's pretty comfortable now, knowing that he's going to finish no worse than 9th if he can keep the car on the track.
I think our big move of the race, Soup, is Joe Hassett up 6 positions, 22nd to 16th. He's in a pack of cars here, and he's got to be careful. I'm sorry, I thought one of the cars behind him was for position, but it's not.
Yeah, Big Joe, those cars going wide. Those were our 3 stars of the race here. Galvin, Wardlow, and Jägerliner. As Hassett falls in now, running in 16th behind those guys. 11 cars still on the lead lap. Rory Collins running in 11th. Looks like he's going to probably be able to bring this home on the lead lap. He's got quite a gap between him and Otis. Jason Galvin qualified in 4th, got 3rd position early. He's been running in 3rd the whole time. He was pestered the first half of the race by Travis Jägerliner, now being pestered by Dustin Wardlow. So far, nobody's been able to get around that number 42 machine. That beautiful Quaker States Menard car.
Yeah, and we can't give enough credit to Galvin if he's able to pull this off. He's evidently been slower than the 2 cars behind him all race long. He's been slower than them all week. However, he turned in a great qualifying time, and he's done a miraculous job holding off this pressure from behind. I'd say that with 3 laps left to go, it could all end in tears, but for this first 34 laps at the very least, he's done a great job.
Sponsors on those 3 cars we've been watching. The Menards Quaker States car for Galvin. And of course the rewards machine back there for Wardlow. And then that kind of yellow and blue Ultramar car. That green and yellow Menard car is a throwback. I don't think it's not Robbie Gordon. I can't remember. Scott Braden. Okay, I'll buy that, our director says.
Of course, let's not forget Galvin actually won the season opener, as you mentioned at the top of the show, Bill, despite avoiding about 3 cars flipping above his helmet.
We ride on board with Jägerliner right now, looking ahead to that battle that has been going on the entire race.
Tell you what, I hadn't actually realised to this point, Ryan Otis is only 2 laps away from becoming our first 2-time winner of the season. We've had a different winner at each race this year so far. Yeah, Andrew Kinsella is off from 7th place. I think he's overcooked the tyres exiting the hairpin. We were talking about the tyres getting worn, and Altman is coming in a hurry. Here goes David Altman up into 7th position, but can Kinsella get the slipstream and try and work his way back by?
He had that car on the grass for a long time, brought it back out, and give another spot to Altman Kinsella. Falling, only losing 1 position.
Yeah, great drive by David Altman today. I know we've mentioned that a few times.
He got Daigle, he got Kinsella, both of those cars after the pit stop. Now look at this, just taps it in there. Then does his best to get it out on the track before he lost that position. Couldn't keep himself from losing. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, meanwhile, the white flag is in the air there. You see it in the top left corner of your screen. Ryan Otis has started the final lap. Well, it took us a long time to reach the halfway point at the field in Soup. There were a lot of battles to sort out, and this battle for 3rd still needs sorting out with just 1.5 laps left to go for them now. But this second half has really flown by as the pressure has been on a lot of these drivers.
Every time I think it's going to be close, Galvin gets a great run out of the hairpin. Great corner exit speed for that bright yellow and green machine of Jason Galvin. Ryan Otis is working his way through 8 and 9 right now.
It's been 3 weeks since these drivers all and Wardlow almost loses it in turn 1. It's been 3 weeks since these drivers all raced at Pocono, and pretty much half the field was disappointed with their finish due to the attrition rate. All of these drivers have been wanting to get here and have a clean race, a clean finish. They've done that tonight. These drivers will want to finish in the top 5, but Ryan Otis will want to take home a victory here, Soup.
Just the right-left combination to go. And you can give round number 5 of the Lionheart Retro Lotus 79 Series. First 2-time winner in this inaugural season is Ryan Otis. Second place is going to go to Jake Wright.
It would have to be a mistake from Galvin for anything to shake up in this battle for third here. Like I'm saying, Bill, I think all of these drivers just want to walk out with a good finish after a 3-week break from the disaster for many of these drivers that was Pocono. But Wardlow almost loses it again.
Oh, he's going to have a hard time holding off now. He's lost all of his momentum. This is going to be the opportunity for Jägerliner. Wardlow taking a tight inside line. Let's see if Jägerliner is going to go to the right or to the left. Wardlow taking his half out of the middle, ducking to the inside. This is the last chance. Is Jägerliner going to force the issue? No. They get it settled. Wardlow able to woe it up and come across the line in 4th, but they made it exciting. Last car in the top 5, Travis Jägerliner.
And if they had tangled, they had a pretty good lead over Scott Bolster in 6th position. David Altman will finish in 7th place. A great race from him, doing it the hard way to move up through the field ahead of Andrew Kinsella, who, I'll tell you what, Pierre Daigle not too far behind Kinsella as they come across the line in 8th and 9th, and I think Chris Stouffer is going to round out a top 10, Bill.
Stouffer working through that final chicane right now. The last car on the lead lap. Well, there you have it. You've been watching GSRC's coverage of the Lionheart Retro Series for the Lotus 49. This is round number 5 from Montreal. We're going to take a short break, but then we'll be back to run down the entire finishing order, driver interviews, and close-up shot. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the Canadian Grand Prix presented by Dewar's Candy. We just had a nice one, a humdinger of a one where Ryan Otis went wire to wire to pick up his second win of the season. Jake Wright chased him around the whole time, brought it home in third. Jason Galvin had a mirror full of cars, first by Dustin Wardlow and Travis Jagerliner. Before that, Galvin gets third position. Dustin Wardlow going to come home in fourth, Travis Jagerliner in fifth. The next back half of your top 10, Scott Bolster, David Altman, Andrew Kinsella, after spinning in the hairpin there, was able only to lose one spot. He's going to come home in eighth. Pierre Nightingale in ninth. And rounding out your top 10, Sam Christo.
Yeah, not only rounding out the top 10 there, but also the cars on the lead lap. Let's go one lap down here. The Rory Collins in 11th place ahead of Jonathan Goki. Frank Bezier in 13th ahead of Bob Mikas, who made a move on Jordan Zoldo for 15th place. Joe Hassett moved up 6 spots during the race to finish 16th ahead of Joe Branch in 17th. One lap down also for Ed Tutwiler, 18th place. Now we get to the cars who were 2 laps down. Patrick Taylor and Vincent Blumenthal round out the top 20.
At this point of the rundown, we usually say now for the cars that have found trouble early, but that's not the case. If we continue here in 21st with cars that were still only 2 laps down, Mitchell Moeller going to finish in the blackjack position. Matthew Mercer right behind him. 23rd and 24th go to Robert Bluen and Jack Bogan. Then we get to the 25th position, 5 laps down for Tony Schowen. And then finally to the cars that did have trouble, Ron Hacker, Peter Edwins, and Brian Greenlee, 26th, 27th, and 28th, 16th, 18th, and 35 laps down. Okay, there you have it. All 28 cars that started get a finishing order there, and we'll pick up some points. Let's go ahead to do some interviews. We're going to let Sam talk to our race winner, Ryan Otis. And we'll bring... And I can't do anything here, so there we go. Now we have Ryan.
I brought Ryan in here to talk to us from Victory Lane Soup. Well, first off, Ryan, congratulations on your second win of the season.
Oh, thanks, guys. That was a blast. Well, that was pretty fast, wire to wire.
Yeah, the 2 road course races we've had this year, you've led Jake Wright home in first and second positions. It looks like it was a bit closer here today, though, than what it was at Watkins Glen.
Oh yeah, it was definitely close. I think as long as I could stay in front going into turn 1, I felt like it would be okay. But it was just pushing 100% the whole time, and I know Jake was probably doing the same thing because I tried as best as I could, and I just couldn't get away from him.
Towards the end of the race, you and Drake came up on a battle between the lap cars of Bob Mikas and Jordan Zoldo that really closed it up between you. Were you, I can imagine that was probably the most worrisome part of a race, running down the back straight there with Drake right on your rear wing.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was the one point where I thought, I thought he might make a move for it, and if he got a wheel inside of me, then there's really no way to defend that going into the chicane there. So I would have had to have let him by. So it was definitely the closest during the whole race where we were in that sort of 4-way battle, really, if you count all the cars. So I was pretty fortunate to stay ahead of him there.
Now Ryan, every race you've been in this season, you've brought home a top 5 finish. You're the first driver to win 2 races this season. However, it's still early on in the championship. Looking down at the calendar, particularly the next couple of races at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, then I believe we also have Long Beach in the not too distant future. Are these tracks where you believe you can continue that trend?
I'm not so sure about New Hampshire. I always tend to struggle a little bit with the ovals, but I'm definitely looking forward to Long Beach.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are looking forward to Long Beach in the series, and even though that won't be broadcast on the GSRC, we invite people to come and check it out in spectator sessions. Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Ryan. Congratulations on your victory here, which will extend your points lead.
All right, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Jake Wright is going to be our next interview. We just talked to Ryan Otis, our race winner here today. We're going to head and see if we can talk to Jake. Now we got Jake in here. Jake, it's Soup here. Congratulations on a second place finish. Am I safe to say that Ryan was just a tick faster today?
Oh, well, I mean, he was quite a bit faster. I think you're going to see a lot more races like that of me chasing down Ryan, because he's got these things figured out.
Let's go ahead. Well, let's save that. I'm going to talk about a battle here that you had at the very end, but let's go ahead and talk about the difference between this car, where you're still darn fast, but maybe not quite as have it figured out like Ryan does, and then the Dallara DW12. What's the big difference for you when you're racing them between the two?
Well, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, it's just more seat time in one car over the other. Just in general, any car can drive the same. It has the same principles behind it, but just spending more time in, say, an IndyCar over an L79, you know every little thing about it. So I'd chalk it up to I just have some things to learn about this thing still. But it's so fun to drive.
Those are not words that the drivers in this series want to hear, because we're still early on, plenty of time for you to figure this car out. Let's go ahead and talk about the race here. We're going to go to the back half of it there. You were chasing Otis, and then you might have had your only opportunity when you came up on the back markers of Anzaldo and Micas in that little battle. Any thoughts of making a dive in there and forcing the issue?
Well, of course, there were thoughts, but there were plenty of things to consider. One, I wasn't fast enough to get my wheel in anyway, but if I was, I don't know what would have happened if I was the one in front behind that pack, but I definitely thought about it, and I knew that was my only opportunity, just couldn't get it done.
Well, second place point is going to help you in the championship. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks.
Jake Wright, second place finisher here today. Next up, I believe we're going to let Sam go ahead and talk to the man from Bakersfield, Jason Galvin.
Alright, I've got to say, we don't have an official Driver of the Day award, but Jason, you did a whale of a job there all race long to hold on to that third place ahead of Dustin and Travis.
Samuel, I appreciate it. Dustin, Travis, and I were just talking. I was saying I'm pretty sure I've been on iRacing since the first year this service was out, and I can say without a doubt that was the best race I've ever driven. I'm not a road course racer. I've never been a good road course racer, and to hold off those two who are exceptional on the road in this car at this track, I couldn't be happier with the way the night went. I love Montreal. I love this car. I said from the beginning I thought I had a real chance at competing with Jake and Otis for the championship in this car, and I hope that tonight went a long way to prove that I'm for real.
Yeah, I noticed, because I was out there with you guys on Tuesday, I noticed you seemed to be struggling a little bit during the Tuesday practice race, but it really looked like you stepped up your game today. Have you been doing a lot of practice since then?
Yeah, it's funny that Tuesday race was the last time I was on the track until about 20 minutes before qualifying tonight. But, Tuesday, I actually felt really comfortable with where I was at from a speed standpoint. I don't think if we put Lewis Hamilton and 1998 Michael Schumacher on this thing, they could run with Otis and Jake. That's how good those two are. So I had a pretty good gauge at where I sat. I knew that Travis and Dustin would be the two cars I'd be running with. I didn't know that it would look like Daytona on a road course for 37 laps, but I knew that they'd be there, and so I was really just kind of trying things on Tuesday night more than I was trying to pick up the pace, because I just didn't think I had anything left. But felt really good with the way tonight went, and did a good job hitting my marks. I felt bad. I had an off track there. I don't remember, lap 8, 10, something like that. The car went into neutral. Out of fifth gear, I shifted to fourth. I shifted to third. It just hung in neutral. It wouldn't change. And I went off in turn 2, I guess, and I almost took Travis and Dustin with me there. But I mean, just a phenomenal race. Otherwise, I can't say enough about the way tonight played out. And Ryan and Jake, man, nobody has to say anything about them. Those are the two baddest guys on iRacing when it comes to this car.
Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're one of the drivers who still drives these cars with a H pattern shifter as well as a clutch pedal. But then I've got to ask here, Jason, which of those two drivers was harder to hold off?
You're right. I do still run with the H pattern. I love the realism of it, and a lot of people call me crazy, but I don't know. I just like it. So, I don't know. I want to say I want to say Dustin was honestly, I think, the fastest of the three of us, and I think Travis would probably agree. And when Dustin finally got around Travis, he did a good job getting back to me. I think had he had 2 or 3 more laps, he probably would have been able to make a move. So, I mean, but both of them are always tough. Travis has been a great addition to our AGR Motorsports team this year with George and myself, and when Jason Robarge and Michael Goodman run here in this L79 car, I'd love to find a way to poach him away over on the DW12 side as well. And he's a tough cookie. He doesn't miss. But Dustin Wardlow, let me tell you, that guy right there's somebody who has kind of come on taking this league by storm with how quick he's been out of the gate, and one of these races here, he's gonna beat us all to turn 1, and we're gonna watch him walk away. I feel pretty confident about that.
All right, well, congratulations once again, Jason. We look forward to seeing you back in New Hampshire in a couple weeks.
Can't wait. Love me some short track racing. We'll try to go get win number 2, guys. That's for all you do.
That was our third place finisher there.
With apologies to Travis Jägerlander, I think we're going to wrap it up here with our first place finisher today, Dustin Wardlow. Dustin, like a good chocolate, it's bittersweet. The sweet, you were able to get around Jägerlander, but the bad news, Dustin, you couldn't get around Jason Galvin.
Heck no, but I was lucky to keep it on track here tonight. And but these guys, that was the funnest racing I've ever had. That was that was just too close and nerve-wracking. I was breathing heavily the whole time.
Yeah, you were in the battle. You had those 2 guys in front of you for the whole time. Then let me ask you this. One of the things Sam and I were talking about, why come in? Did you think you were faster than Galvin? Why follow him into the pits?
Because I am notorious for losing 2 to 3 seconds on pit entry, so I thought that they'd be running out the same time I was, and I could gauge my pit entrance speed and everything off of them, so I wouldn't lose much. That was basically my thinking there.
That's why we have the interviews, because we thought that you might have been faster. Did you feel you were faster than Galvin?
I managed to catch him a couple times, but I think it was just traffic. I think it was just traffic. I think we were all 3 so evenly matched that any mistake just cost us dearly, and we were lucky to stay clean. It was just that close. It was a lot of fun.
Let's change the subject for a minute. Easter time, a big time up there for Dewars Candy?
Yes, sir. Not as heavily as the holidays. The Christmas season is crazy, but Easter isn't so bad either. They have hand-dipped chocolates, and they sell a bunch of Easter baskets and such as well. So, in addition to chews, it's really good stuff. And like I said, they've been around for over 100 years. They're doing it right.
Yep, and Mom and Dad's Day coming up too, so that'll work there as well. Hey, congratulations, you brought the Dewars car home in 4th place inside the top 5. Good job today.
Hey, thank you very much, and shout out to my teammates. They were really talking me up during the race, and I appreciate that very much. Sorry for Brian's luck there, but he came on and spotted for us the whole time. Just tremendous job. Good guys. The whole Lionheart crowd is a good group of guys.
They are a good group. Congratulations. Good luck down the road here as we work through the second 2/3 of the season.
Thank you, sir, and appreciate all the good broadcasting too. It's always a pleasure.
We appreciate the flattery. All right, there you have it. That's going to wrap it up for our driver interviews now. Let's go ahead and close up shops. Want to thank everybody at the Lionheart group there. For a long time, the Lionheart IndyCar Series has been considered the premier fixed setup league for the Indy cars on the iRacing service, and this new Retro Series is quickly earning a similar reputation for the Lotus 79. GSRC is proud to be associated with both. Hey, a thanks to Dustin Wardlow there. We just talked to him and Dewars Candy for sponsoring this. If you're tired of an impersonal gift card and you're looking for a truly unique gift idea that will leave a lasting impression, get your trophy room ready because Dewars Gourmet Taffy Chews will have you looking like a champ. Dewars Chewy Peanut Butter Filled Taffy has been enjoyed by generations of families dating back, just like Dustin said, to 1909 and are now shipped all over the world. Get yours today at dewarscandy.com. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The original music, thanks to Eric Eckholm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them. Here's the important part. The Lionheart Retro Series will return in 2 weeks. That's April 20th for the Indy Elite Grand Prix of Loudon. 143 laps on the New Hampshire International Raceway Oval. GSRC will be there. We hope that you join us. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, your best bet is GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. And now, before we close up shop, on behalf of my mic mate Samuel Ryman, our director Joe Peak, and our camera artist Dougie Beard, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.